And what is your name, sir? I can't see it.
Andy.
Andy? Andy, talk to me, brother. What's your question?
Okay, so I'd like you to go a little deeper and a little further on the 5 to 50,000, find more leverage. If you could just go a minute deeper on that, that would be great.
Okay, so Andy asked me to go a little bit deeper on going from 5,000 to 50,000. What you need is a little more leverage. So if you think about your ultimate leverage in the marketplace is the result that your market desires. Like Steve spent a lot of time talking this morning about, like, you have to start from the marketplace. He didn't say it that way, but he said you don't start in here. Most business owners make the mistake of starting their business in here. This is what I want to do. No. Well, that's fine, but nobody wants to pay you to do what you want to do. People want to pay you to solve their problems. So you have to start with a market that, number one, has a burning desire. They also need to be a very large market. That's also leverage. They also need to have some money or access to some money. So all of that's leverage. So the greater the result that you can get for someone, the higher the price you can charge them. So what do I mean leverage? So for me, leverage is a high ticket offer. That's for all of you in this room, even if you think it's not, even if you don't know what it is yet, you're gonna shorten your learning curve by creating a high ticket offer of some kind. And that high ticket offer might be $5,000. It might be $10,000. It might be $25,000. It might be $100,000. It might be $1 million. It could be $3 or $4 million. The easiest sale I ever made in my life was back in 2008. Well, that wasn't the easiest. That was the easiest sale that I had ever made in my life for a long time. And it was a $400,000 sale. There was $200,000 profit in that sale. I made that sale to a guy that I met who owned a company the day I met him. When I went to his office, I did not go to his office with the idea nor the intention to make a sale of $4, let alone $400,000. But while I was talking to him, I was listening to him, and what I heard was they would like to increase their sales. So I created a marketing strategy on the fly in my mind and turned it into an offer. I didn't have a PowerPoint. I didn't have a flip chart. I didn't have a marker. I didn't have a brochure. I didn't have a business card. But I told him, I explained to him in clear language the result that I could produce for him and the people he served. And I said, it would ordinarily cost you X, Y, Z, but for you, it's only going to cost you $400,000. Do you know what this man said to me? He said, "You do that for us?"
You do that what?
He said, "You do that for us?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll do that for y'all." And I thought to myself, just to show us you cut that check. But so the guy picks up his phone. I mean, literally, the presentation took 15 minutes. I didn't write anything down. I didn't draw anything. I just told him what I'd create for him. Like I didn't even come prepared to make a sale. He picked up his phone. He called his accounting department. He said, "Bring me a check. Do you want me to make it out to you or do you want me to make it out to your company?" "Oh, make it out to my company." I called my assistant on the phone. I said, "I need you to create a purchase order. I want you to fax it to this number because this guy's about to write me a multi-six-figure check." He wrote me the check cleared the bank, and we sold a big marketing package to this guy. That sale was so effortless. And it was not what I went there with the intent to do. I just went there with the intent to meet the guy. But after I met him, I saw an opportunity to make an offer, and I didn't talk myself out of it. Now, here's what had to happen. I had to have an offer that I could sell for $400,000. The reason some of you, like there are a lot of people in this room, the only reason you're not closing a $5,000 sale is because you don't have a $5,000 sale to close. Like you don't have a $5,000 offer. or a $15,000 offer, or a $25,000 offer, whatever your number is. After the digit, the rest is just zeros. So don't get it twisted, right? And so I recently, last month, I did a Facebook Live, and a guy called me, and he says, hey, I'm having an event, and I'd like for you to speak at my event if I can afford you. Guess what I told him? I sent him a message. I said, oh, we can figure out a way for you to afford me. And I said, send me your number and I'll call you next week. I called him next week. I closed him on a $40,000 sale with a contingency of $1 million sale. One guy. I said, here's the deal. I'm going to produce XYZ result for you. And it's 40 grand, $18,000 down, $400 a week ACH for the next year. I'm going to come speak at your event. And I'm going to do a pre-pitch. I'm going to do a content section. I'm going to show you how to craft your offer, how to present your offer, and then I'm going to do a repitch for you. I said, I have two different prices. If you're not one of my students and you want me to do a repitch, I get 50% of all the repitch sales. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it's only a lot. It's only a lot if I make some sales. If I don't make any sales, it's nothing. And if you don't make the sales, it's showing up. It's nothing, right? So I made this offer to him. I said, it's 50%. If you are my student, if you buy one of my coaching programs, like my $40,000 coaching program, I'll only charge you 40% of the repitch sales. But if you want me to do a pre-pitch and like set it up so that you make some sales, because like I could literally go into almost anybody's stage. Almost 90% of the people out there who do live events, I could go on their stage and just do a repitch and make more sales of their product than they did. Because I understand human beings at a very high level, right? And so I know I could do that. But I told him, I said, here's the deal. If you have me do a pre-pitch and a repitch, I won't take 50%, or if you're my student, I won't take 40% of the repitch sales. I'll just take, if you're my student, I'll take 25% of the repitch sales. If you're not one of my students and you're not in one of my coaching programs, then it's 35% of all the sales that happen, not just the repitch sales. So if you're one of my students and I do a pre-pitch and a repitch, I get 25% of every sale. But I said, I want to ask you a question. I said, when I help you get to $3 million, so now watch what I did here. When I help you get to $3 million, will you pay me $1 million and let me help you get to 10? He said, yes. I said, okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do everything in my power. You got this event coming up. You got 400 people there. I'm going to do everything in my power to help you produce $3 million in sales at that event in May. When I do we understand each other? You're paying me $1 million. Are we on the same page? He said, oh yeah, we on the same page. And so what did I do? I did the same thing I taught you guys to do a couple weeks ago on the training with the high ticket sales, right? I did the math to get to the millions. And I figured out he's got a $25,000 offer. If we do 120 sales, he's going to do $3 million. I'm going to get $1 million paycheck. One sale. But I had to have $1 million offer already in order to present it, right? But you know what the second thing I had to do? I had to have enough intestinal fortitude to offer that $1 million sale with the confidence that made him believe I can produce that result. I already know I can produce that result because I know what my numbers are. And so I closed him on the big sale. And then I said, after that, here's what you're going to do. You're going to pay me $1 million a year, and I'm going to help you keep growing your business. He said, I'm all in. Cool. I'm all in. And so now I've got a client who's going to become a client partner who's already agreed when I help him get to $3 million a year and more, all the way up to whatever it gets to, he pays me $1 million a year in perpetuity. How many of y'all like the sound of that music? But you have to have an offer. So I know I can produce the result for him. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's what I mean when I say leverage. Leverage is having the offer. Leverage is knowing how to make the offer. And then leverage is having enough intestinal fortitude to make the offer. Now, you have to have a result that the person you're talking to values more than they value the amount of money you charge. Was that the answer you were looking for? Perfect. Give it up for Andrew, y'all. Andrew, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Trying to tiptoe up to the microphone.
You can take it out if you want to.
I think you can.
Yeah.
So you talked early in your talk about when you say meaningful things and you have great content, it kind of increases your legacy.
Your legend, yeah.
And I was curious about how you can do that in a short amount of time. So for example, trying to create a high ticket offer, kind of a scalable high ticket offer
Sure.
for the first time.
Okay.
And you're attracting cold traffic. I mean, in the right market, so they should be warm to the idea, but not
Sure.
necessarily warm to me.
Sure.
What advice would you have in terms of doing that in a webinar style, that where you're trying to make a big impact in a very short amount of time to create that believability to get into the to the offer?
So you might want to do a webinar at the end of a launch sequence. You know what a launch funnel is?
Mm-hmm.
So they see, if you have really great content, the more of your content people consume, the more of your content they desire to consume, right? So if you have video 1 that solves a problem, video 2 that solves a problem, video 3 that solves a problem, video 4, and you can make video 4 the webinar, right? If you do that, then you do the webinar that's a no-pitch webinar, but you close to a strategy session, and then on the strategy session, you tell them what the price is on the no-pitch webinar if they want to work with you, but then you send them to schedule a strategy session with you, and then on the strategy session, you go through the closing sequence that I showed you a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. You should be like, I've closed, I've had days where I've closed $60,000, $70,000 in sales in one day on the phone just doing 30-minute strategy sessions. Is that helpful?
Yeah, really helpful.
And that was, okay, good. That was real helpful. Good stuff. And what is your name?
Ginger.
Give it up for Ginger, y'all. Okay. Yes, I think I can see you, but I can't. Tell me your name.
Oui?
Yes, sir.
Andrew?
Andrew. Hey, Andrew.
Hi. What you said earlier about not using profanity and not using swearing, and how you can impact more people that way.
Sure.
My little brother is starting a business in the skateboarding industry.
Sure.
And without assigning stereotypes, it's very common to have profanity and swearing throughout all the skaters.
Sure.
Or most of them, rather.
How old is your brother?
He's 14.
14, okay.
So he insists that swearing makes him more relatable.
Yeah.
I want him to understand that it's not necessary and it can help progress his brand more if he doesn't. How would I be able to incentivize him to understand that a little bit better?
Well, don't incentivize him. Just ask, let him use his brain. Okay, so, are 14-year-olds buying their own skateboards or are their parents buying them?
It's half and half.
Half and half? Okay, so here's the reality. If my children were 14 and they wanted to buy a skateboard, and some 14-year-olds, cussing to try to get their attention, I'm not buying a skateboard from those people. And there are a lot of parents who are going to feel that same way. So, here's the reality. Here's the reality about life itself. You can't desire a result for somebody else more than they desire it for themselves, because all you're going to do is irritate them and frustrate yourself, right? I get it. You care about your brother, but ultimately every top has to sit on its own bottom. And so he's going to eventually have to come to his own conclusions. And if he won't take your advice, allow him to find out the hard way. I get it. Still attempt to influence him, but let the dust settle where it settles. That's what I would do. And I would suggest, do you understand? I get it that some people get offended when you talk to them about something in their life just because they don't want to be bothered. I'm going to tell you something. Just because somebody disagrees with you doesn't mean they hate you. Like this whole thing. Anyway, I'm not going to go there, but I could. But this whole it's not necessary. I heard one of the best quotes I've heard maybe in 15 years at the Inner Circle meeting this past Tuesday with Joe Marfolio, one of my dear friends who's in the Inner Circle. And one of the things what he said was, which makes sense regardless of what you're talking about. He said, I would rather have questions I can't answer than to have answers I can't question. And so, if people that you're talking to won't allow you to question their answers, maybe you just need to let them figure it out on their own. I mean, I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but your brother's eventually going to figure something out, regardless of what that is. So.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. What is your name? Give it up for Andrew, by the way, y'all. Yes, ma'am.
Before the break, you were talking about negative and how that doesn't help anyone, and I
Sure.
don't remember exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Because now I'm nervous. But
Oh, girl, you don't have to be nervous talking to me. I'm nervous talking to you.
But anyways, my space is kind of negative, and so I'm having a hard time understanding how to make such a negative event.
Tell me, I don't know what that means, so,
Well, I operate in the space of divorce.
okay.
I help people with that. So I guess what
So,
I'm asking you.
what you mean is people who are in your space are oftentimes in a negative place.
Yes.
So what I would do is I would show them how they can get in a positive place. I would just, like, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So if they're in a really negative place, that negative place has to have a positive opposite.
Right.
And so I would sit down and figure out what that positive opposite is, and I would show them, you know, you're feeling lonely, you're feeling dejected, you're feeling miserable, you're feeling like you've wasted your time, you're feeling hopeless. I'm going to show you how to make the rest of your life the best of your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So frame it. All you do is you reframe it. See, understand this, frames create focus. Like when we look at something, we're not seeing what's there. We're not seeing everything that's there. We're just seeing the part we're focusing on, right? So frames create focus. So one of the things that I do with my words is I create frames that cause people to focus on the thing that's going to make them feel the best about buying the thing I'm selling. Does that make sense?
It does.
And
See,
what is
what I was thinking you were saying is you don't talk about the negative.
No.
Okay.
No, I wasn't saying don't talk about negative things. I was saying don't use negativity. Don't call people stupid. Don't use language that causes people to feel less than. In the scriptures it says your speech should be with grace, seasoned with salt. Here's what that means. It means the words that come out of your mouth should be like a present, a gift that you give to someone, or like seasoning that you put on food to make it taste better. Does that make sense?
Yes.
What is your name?
Brenda.
Hey, Brenda, thank you. Give it up for Brenda, y'all. Yes, sir.
Hey, Myron, how are you?
I'm utterly fantastic. Better now that I'm talking to you. How you doing, bro?
Great, great,
Good.
great. So I'm doing a high ticket pitch. I've already actually with a local university doing a coaching program with some of the businesses
Okay.
that are procuring services, product and services with them.
Uh-huh.
So I've already made the pitch to the person that's actually going to use it. Now she has to present it to her boss to get approval, and she's already looked at it. But
And what's your
That-
question?
Huh?
What's your question for me?
so my question is, how do I get her boss to accept it, more so than like the how everything works, but the result and all that kind of thing.
Can I be fully transparent? What is your name, sir?
Dominic Wallace.
So Dominic, can I be fully transparent with you?
Yeah, sure.
The only way that I can see that that's going to happen is if you pay her a 50% affiliate commission. Because I would never want for my sale to rest in the arms of, I'm going to give a presentation that I've worked on for hours to someone else who hasn't worked on it at all to go deliver it to the decision maker. If I can't deliver it to the decision maker on my own terms, then I don't want to deliver the offer. Okay, so hold on 1 second. And what I mean by that, I've had, back when I used to do network marketing, right? I remember one time I was doing a presentation, and the dude that I was doing the presentation to, he thought he was the man, right? And this was before the internet, and this was before iPads. He took my flip chart out of my hand, started flipping through the pages. I looked at him like this. I said, "What you doing?" So I'm looking at I said, "Give me my flip chart." He gave it to me. I closed it up. I put it in my briefcase. I said, "It's been really nice talking to you. If I see you at the grocery store, I'm going to say, hey. If I see you at the golf course, might let you join my foursome, but we're done here." He said, "Oh, no, I'm still interested in hearing what you have to say." I said, "You don't understand. I ain't interested in talking to you no more." See, you have, like all of us, be an autonomous business executive. Don't let people push you around. if you're not willing to hear my presentation on my terms, you don't get to hear my presentation. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to allow a gatekeeper to give my presentation to their boss. I'm not going to allow a husband to give my presentation to his wife, or a wife to give my presentation to her husband. Like, if I ain't talking to the person who's making the decision, I ain't talking. That's the best answer that I have for you. I know it's not the one you want. But can I give you some other insight that I'm thinking about, and then you can like clarify if I missed something. Fair enough?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Dominic. So the other thing that I would do is I would sell in a market where you're selling one-on-one, where there's one decision maker instead of a board or a group or a whole bunch of people that you have to sell to. And like that one shift could transform your business like in the next week, literally, if you're talking to individuals who can say yes. So, and maybe I misunderstood your question, or I didn't do a good job answering it. So you can clarify if you need to.
No, you did a good job. I will say, to clarify, she actually came to me.
Yep, I know.
For the solution.
Right.
To
Then what you should have done
in her job.
Right. So
to serve him.
Right. So here's what I would have done with that.
Okay.
I would have gotten her to get you in front of her boss, since he's the one making the decision. Find out who the decision maker is and only present to that person.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
All right. Yeah. And then what would you suggest is in preparation for the meet, to sell directly to him?
Yeah. First of all, see, you got to understand this. You're one of the reasons we're entrepreneurs is so we don't have to, nobody can push us around. The reason I'm an entrepreneur is because I'm allergic to bosses. I don't have one outfit in my closet that matches a boss, right? So I don't like people telling me what to do, right? And that may not be everybody's thing, but that's my thing, right? And so somebody says, well, I want you to come and present to my audience, and it has to be this, and it has to be at this time. No. You just think you want me. You really want somebody that looks like me, because you don't want me. Because when you want me, I set the terms. See, what we have to do, we have to get to the place in our businesses where we're not afraid of losing business, because until we do, we can't really attract the right people. Does that make sense? I don't I do a lot of live events, and yeah, I like speaking at live events, and yeah, I like making offers and re-pitches and pre-pitches and all the rest of that, but guess what? It don't have to be yours. And so we have to have that sense of autonomy and individualism so that we can stand up and say, that ain't how I do it in my business. Does that make sense? Okay. Good stuff. Give it up for Dominic. Yeah. Talk to me, Latasha.
My name's Latasha from Vancouver, Canada. Myron, I just wanted to say thank you, because I have been playing small for like a year, because I've second year to Comedy Club, and I never made a high ticket offer. And you said something earlier, if you've never created it, you're not gonna be able to sell it.
Yeah, you can't make the offer you don't have.
I think I'm addicted to high ticket now. So in the last 40 days.
I resemble that remark.
Right? In the last 40 days, I've done about 52,000. And then I'm sorry for walking out on you, but I had another call that was pre-booked. So that was another 10,000 just now.
Woo,
so
you go, girl.
I just want to say thank you. So I wanted to say thank you, because you've been a big inspiration for that. You've been talking about high ticket for a long time, and I just looked at you and, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. I couldn't imagine when. And now it's like I'm standing here and I'm closing high ticket sales, and it's so much easier than I could ever have imagined. And it's probably as easy. It's easier than selling a $99 product.
I'm so glad you said that.
Than it is to sell a product that's my last one was $26,000.
Yep.
And that was like a quick phone call. The girl ended up in my unread messages on Facebook, and it was a $26,000 client, and it was like that to close. So I just want to say thank you, and it's exciting, and I'm addicted to high ticket.
Good stuff. Give it for Latasha, y'all. So y'all hold that. Y'all hold on for a minute. Don't go nowhere. So one of the things that's really remarkable that she just said, and I'm going to expand on. I was sharing this with some folks last night. What I'm about to say right now changed my life in the arena of sales, and that is, all no's are created equally. All yeses are not. See, a no is a no is a no is a no. So if you're making an offer for a $37 ebook and they say no, or you're making an offer for a $37,000 coaching program and they say no, the no feels the same. It's a no. But if you say, if you make an offer for a $37 ebook and they say yes, and you make an offer for a $37,000 coaching program and they say yes, is there a difference? Yes. If there's no difference in the no, and there's all the difference in the world in the yes, why in the world would you play around in the kiddie pool when you can dive off the big board and swim in the deep end? That's all I'm saying. So anyway. 10X, talk to me.
Hey, Myron, how's it going?
Fantastic. What is your name?
Murad.
Hey, Murad.
Fiki.
Okay, hey, what's up? I
from
talked to you
Houston,
last
Texas.
night.
Yes, sir. So I wanted to ask you this. I'm a real estate agent in Houston, Texas.
Yes, sir.
And I want to ask your advice. What can I implement in my business immediately that will, using leverage, give me that quantum leap to jump ahead over everybody,
Okay.
all my competitors?
So what can I do immediately? Can you handle the truth? No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, sir. Lay it on me.
What are the price range of the homes that you sell?
I focus on luxury homes, so $500,000 and above in Houston is considered luxury.
Okay, what's
That's
the most
top
expensive?
10%.
What's the most expensive home that you sold?
1.85 million.
1.85 million. Okay, so the thing that you can do that will give you the biggest exponential growth, first of all, is like raise your bottom end and raise your top end. What do I mean by that? Instead of $500,000 to $1 million homes, start selling $1 million to $6 million homes. That's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do is start, what's the word I'm looking for? Branding and marketing yourself as the king of luxury home sales in Houston. And then you create events and experiences for people who are looking for high-end homes. That's what I would do.
Yes, sir.
Helpful?
Yes, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Give it up.
Appreciate it.
Give it up. Give it up for her. Give it up. Woo, 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 woo. Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, I'm Samantha from the UK.
Samantha?
Yes.
Hey, Samantha from the UK.
Hello. So I have this self-sabotage issue that once I get close to 100,000,
No.
I do things that
kidding.
destroy a business, and then I get up again and then it destroys.
Okay.
And I remember you saying on one of the lives about having belief in the outcome. It means that you travel towards it, and then if you actually have fear, or is belief in like the negative.
Samantha, can you talk a little slower? Your accent's fantastic, but I can't understand some of the stuff you're saying. If you can talk a little slower.
I self-sabotage.
Right.
How can I stop?
You said. You self-sabotage. How can you stop? By raising your standards and elevating what you will accept. What do I mean by that? So, I'm going to give you an old Myron Golden quote. It has a lot of words in it, so I don't like saying it, but it's really good. But it's just really, really wordy. It's very loquacious. So, here's the phrase. Seldom will I make as much as, and never will I make more than the amount I allow myself to think of as a lot of money. So the biggest clue that was in what you said was that I got from what you said, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that you think $100,000 is a lot of money. Like everybody, y'all looking at me? Is everybody listening to me right now? Yeah. There is not a single solitary person in this room who does not have the capability of making $100,000 in an hour. Now, having said that, what you have to do, see, like if we think $100,000 a year is a lot of money, then we're probably not going to make it's really not even that you're self-sabotage. It's just that, it could be, but I don't think that's what it is. I think it's that in your mind, the ceiling is 100,000. So when you get close to it, you don't want to bump your head on the ceiling. So raise the ceiling. Like to me, $100,000 an hour is not a lot. I mean, it's nice, but it ain't that big of a deal. And I know that's kind of like a mind game, right? Because you're like, wait a minute, did he just say $100,000 an hour is not that much money? I mean, it's more than $100 an hour, but it ain't, it ain't life-changing. So what you have to do is you have to say, okay, and by the way, remember I said about words having energy? So what I used to do back before I got to you know, before I ever made $100,000 in an hour or like $1 million in an hour, like all of that stuff sounds like when you say it, it sounds fake even to you. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about, right? When you're talking to the people who don't live in our, you know, high income bubble, right? So what you do is you say, okay, start taking the amounts that you used to think of as a lot, and when you think about them and when you talk about them, put the word only in front of them. What do I mean? Well, man, I only made $100,000 this week. And yeah, say it out loud. And I know your friends are gonna look at you like you lost your mind. Why you gotta be all bougie? Right? But the reality is, you're not doing it for them. Like I know, like, and I've had people come to me and say to me, oh, like I've heard you talk before and I've heard about you for a long time, and I didn't know you were gonna be like this approachable. I thought you were gonna be like, you know, rah, I don't know what they thought, you know. Because when I don't allow myself, see, seldom will I make as much as, never will I make more than the amount I allow myself to think of as a lot of money. So to me, $1 million a month ain't that big of a deal, right? If you have a desire to get to $1 million a year, then thinking that $100,000 is a lot of money is a negative thought that you cannot afford. Does that make sense? So what you do is you raise your standard. So for instance, I remember the first job that I ever had. Can anybody remember the first job you ever had? My first job was in 1974, I think it was. 1974, 1975. I got a job working for the city of Columbus, Ohio, summer job, picking up trash for $1.53 an hour. How many of y'all know Myron ain't working for $1.53 an hour anymore? How many of y'all know that? Okay. So I used to, like right now, I just raised my hourly coaching rate today. I'll tell you why in a minute. But like I used to charge $5,000 an hour. And like, how many of y'all that sounds like a lot, right? It's like, oh, one-on-one coaching, right? And I mean, there's a part of it that's okay, but I don't particularly enjoy it. So I raise my prices high enough that only the best people will come to me. And then when I give them something to do, I'm charging them enough that they're gonna pay. They're gonna do it, right? So I just raised my prices today, and I was talking to my son, and I'm giving you an example of this. I said, hey son, I just raised my prices today to $10,000 an hour. He said, you should raise it to $25,000 an hour. He said, the results you get for people are so fast. Like you have people that you're changing their life in like a week, a month. You should charge $25,000 an hour. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, man, what is wrong with these people? Okay, but like my son and my daughter have recommended me to do things in the past, and I waited until it made sense to me, and it cost me a fortune. And I eventually came to their conclusion. So I said, okay, my new price for coaching is $25,000 an hour. And you say you raise it just like that? Oh, just like that. Because the last time I had a conversation with somebody about one-on-one coaching, he said, how much is your coaching? I said, it's $5,000 an hour. He said, I want to buy 8 hours. What's your PayPal email address? I gave him my PayPal email address, but I don't want you to really send it through PayPal. Too late. It was already there. You see what I'm saying? So raise your standard. That's the short answer. It's really not that you're self-sabotaging. It's that your standard's just not high enough. That's what I think. I could be wrong, and like, you can reach out to me in a couple months or a couple weeks and let me know if I was right or wrong. Cool?
Okay, thank you.
Give it up for Samantha, y'all. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna answer the questions of the folks who are already in line, but please, like I got 3 people in this line, 3 people in that line. After this, I still got some other stuff I wanna teach y'all, but I like the things that you are looking to learn is as important to me as the things I'm looking to teach. Because the stuff I got on my iPad, wherever it is, stuff I got on my iPad, that's gonna be there, you know, 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now when I do my next coaching session on the Facebook group. And we got a whole year together, y'all. I ain't going nowhere, I promise. Okay, so yes, ma'am.
Hi, Myron.
Hi, what is your name?
Lauren.
Hey, Lauren.
Hey. So I am not exactly sure how to turn my product into a high-ticket product.
Okay.
So right now it's in the health and wellness. It's a weight loss product. It's like a meal plan and some shopping lists and recipes. It's $37.
Okay.
And my question is, how do I take something like that and turn it into a high-ticket item?
So tell me what it is again.
So it's in the weight loss or it's in the
Yep.
weight loss field. So it's a meal plan, 30-day meal plan, shopping lists, recipes, Facebook community,
Okay.
and coaching.
Okay, so it's $37 for all of that?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me what's in it again.
So there's
No, I'm not making fun of her. I'm just trying to make sure I understand what you said.
It's a
Weight loss program.
Yeah, so weight loss program. It's 30-day meal plan, weekly grocery shopping lists, recipes, Facebook community, and then like pre-recorded coaching, video
Okay.
coaching.
So first of all, the first thing I would do is I would raise the price of that offer to worst case scenario, $197. Okay, that's the first thing I'd do. But how do you turn it into high ticket? You turn it into a 3-day destination location training where you do it with them for 3 days and you charge them $15,000. And you go someplace really, really cool. And no, you don't buy their plane ticket, and no, you don't pay for their hotel. You just charge them because they're going to get to spend time with you. You sell 10 people at a time for $15,000, and then you pick the date, and y'all go to Hawaii, or y'all go to Jamaica, or y'all go to the DR, or y'all go somewhere where people want to go, and then you rent an Airbnb in a big mansion, and you show them how to do the meals and the whole 9 yards, and you take that idea, they can buy this, and your next thing you sell them is a destination location training. One of the best things that you can do, one of the easiest ways to create a high ticket is just take the thing you're already teaching, like in a course, and turn it into a 3-day destination location training. Is that helpful?
Very helpful. Thank
All
you.
right, give it up for Brenda, y'all. Yes, sir.
Hi, Myron.
Hey.
My name is Matt.
Hey,
and
Matt.
I just wanted to echo, and I had a question, but echo your sentiment about the negativity and people of a background of abuse, and they associate that because it's totally been my story, and you pick up on it. So if anyone's hesitant, like any conversation, you see, when people start to talk that way, it was another big reason why I'm here in this community. Similarly, Russell just doesn't have it. No one, I can't imagine you are aware of it lacking.
Right.
But you are aware when there's fly in the apple juice. I wanted to say, in terms of the content, love the book and the post-it notes. You could use a post-it note holder, maybe.
For books, we need an arm for books to put our post-it notes on so they don't cover up. Why didn't I think of that? Okay, go ahead.
$1 million idea. Now, but what's kind of your best practices for aggregating that? Or do you just have a bunch of books on your shelf, and when you're trying to figure out stories, you're pulling them all out?
I'm so glad you asked that question because I didn't even finish my thought. So he's asking me, how do I aggregate this? So what I do when I'm done reading a book, I'll take all of those quotes and I'll put them in a Google Doc categorically, under categories. And so that way, if I need a quote on limitations, I've got that quote. If I need a quote on possibilities, I've got that quote. Does that make sense? So I'm glad you asked that question because I didn't even finish the thought. So what I do, after I'm done reading a book, I take all of my posted notes, all of my handwritten notes, all of my original content that I Charlie Jones from that content, and I put it on a Google Doc. And then what happens is, like, some days, like what I do is I'll go do, like for Instagram, for instance, or Facebook, I'll go and do a photo shoot, right? I'll upload all the pictures from the photo shoot to a Google Drive, right? And when I'm at events like this, I have people taking pictures, right? So we take those pictures. And so my daughter, who does all of our social media stuff, she'll send me a picture. Dad, I need a quote for this. I'll give her a quote for the picture and a quote for under the picture. I get all of that from the Google Docs that I create with the Myron Golden quotes. Is that helpful?
Very helpful. Thank you.
Great question. Thanks, Matt. Give it up for Matt. Yes, sir. And I think this gentleman right here, I think you were the last one in line when I made that announcement. Because there was, so I'll do more questions, but right now I think the guy with the hat. Were you the last guy in the hat in the line when I made that announcement about not doing anymore?
No, there was a person.
Are you sure? Okay, you were. Okay, cool. No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead, sir. What's your question? Name and question.
Hi, my name's Sonny.
Hey, Sonny.
Hi. It goes back to a comment that you talked about. Take ownership, the result, before you take the path.
Before you know the path.
Before
Yes.
you know the path.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is like, if you fail, naturally we take our goals down on the retry.
Yeah.
But earlier you said, never take your goals down.
So, okay, well, see, but the problem with that, I understand I understand your question. Like, how am I saying, like, if I'm telling you take ownership of the path before you know the result, what happens when I fail, and how do I not take my goals down? Well, here's the problem. We think we know what failure looks like. right? So here's what we don't understand about the human being and our human condition. Repetitive use of a limited ability will always produce an increased capacity. Because I don't have the ability to do something right now does not mean I don't have the capacity. It just means I don't have the ability. And the key word would be yet. What do I mean? Like, let's say I want to start working out, right? And so my goal is I want to start working out. I want to do like 30 push-ups. I won't do 30. Let's say I want to do 20 push-ups. So I get down and I go, 3, right? And I'm like, I can't do 20 push-ups. Right? So I think that my lack of ability is a lack of capacity, but it's not. Because the next day, I'll go and I'll say, I can only do 4 push-ups, but I want to do 20. I'll go, 3. Oh. Yesterday I could do 4, but today I can only do 3. These push-ups don't work. Isn't that what we do? And then the next day I go and do some, and then I can only do 4, and the next day I can only do 4, and the next day I can only do 4, and then I get down, I say, I know I can only do 4, but I'm gonna go do as many as I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, where'd that come from? 7, 8. Well, oh my goodness, 9, 10. Oh, this is amazing. 20. Oh my goodness. I can't stop. And so what happens is, when I keep doing what I think I can't do, in spite of the fact that I couldn't do it, I will eventually be able to do it extremely well. Repetitive use of a limited ability will always, what's that word I just used? Always produce an increased capacity. Is that helpful?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Carla, talk to me, sister.
Yeah, hi, Carla White. I am a sophomore, and I just wanted to make
I didn't hear the first part. You said you what?
I'm a sophomore in the 2CC.
Oh, you're a sophomore. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
And last year I came to every single event, even if it meant I had to come as a cardboard cutout. I was there. And Myron was sitting here with us in the chairs. And whenever I could, I would corner him just to get like one Myronism. And I just want to make it publicly known that ClickFunnels, thank you very much for bringing you on the coaching team.
Wow, thank you so much.
And thank you for accepting the position.
Wow,
So,
thank you, Carla.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're a freshman, you guys you're just so lucky to have him, and make sure you watch all of his videos. So that's all I wanted to say.
Wow, Carla, thank you so much. Thank you. So kind. Yes, ma'am.
That was very kind of her.
Very kind indeed.
Okay, so my name's Kristen. People call me KB.
People call you KV or KB?
B as
KB?
in Betts.
Hey,
it was
hey.
my maiden name.
All right.
And I used to be a DJ. Anyway,
dude.
that's not the point. So what I do now, currently as of today, is I've created a platform called Heart Convos where I teach millennial women how to navigate unhealthy friendships. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Now, I just want to know, how do you quantify something like that? Like the measure of growth or health or wellness in a relationship. When people talk about like B2B and I do investment and I feel like some of that is a little more concrete. How do I know what to charge somebody for longevity in friendship? And I've also heard people in a similar field of like divorce and stuff. It's like, well, how much does it cost to have a divorce? All right, well, I'm gonna take that process and use that to help me quantify how much I'm gonna keep you from getting one, right?
Okay.
So how do I do that with friendship?
And that's a great question. So I'm gonna like I don't fake it till I make it. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know. So let me ask. Can I ask you a question before I even go there?
Absolutely.
What is it that's like was the genesis of the idea to do that?
Oh.
I mean, just in like as succinctly as possible.
Sure. Okay. I used to be a trash friend, and it caused me a lot of hurt and a lot of hurt to other people.
Okay.
I then realized that, I'm not the only one that's been a trash friend.
Okay.
There are a lot of people that are struggling when it comes to finding connection authentically with other people, specifically millennials. So that's a part of my tag, like it's millennial women. We sometimes hide behind our devices. We have a hard time engaging people face to face, and we absolutely don't know how to navigate difficult conversations. And so there's a practical guide in having a HEART convo, because HEART is an acronym. And so I want to offer that to people in the simplest way possible so that they can engage and have health in their relationships.
Tell me what you've sold in that space really quickly.
One more time.
Tell me what you've sold in that space really quickly.
Yeah, started this 8 months ago. About a month ago, I launched a 6-week course, realized it was a little bit too much of a jump from my social media page to committing 6 weeks to me. So then 3 weeks ago, I created a friendship challenge, and we're on day 5 of that. I had 43 people register for the friendship challenge.
And how much do you charge for it?
It's $27 for each person, and I encourage people to do it together.
Okay.
They get pre-recorded videos, they get a private Facebook group.
So, I'd really have to give that some thought, KB, but initially the thing that comes to me, what it reminds me of, it reminds me of the concept of the Dream 100, except for friendships. So, can you quantify that? This is my best guess. Fair enough? Charlie Tremendous Jones used to say, you are the same today that you'll be 5 years from now, except for 2 things: the books you read and the people you meet, right? So that's one thing that you could talk about. You could talk about the fact that when Bill Gates got ready to start Microsoft, he did it because he had a friend, Paul Allen, who loaned him $50,000. He didn't loan it to him, he gave it to him to buy a portion of Bill Gates' not yet existing company. So the friends that we have in our lives can oftentimes determine our chances. And you show people the value of friend relationships. And you show them how friendships can create lifelong business connections. You show them how friendships can save lives. You show them how friendships can inspire people. So real quickly, there was a time in my business career where we pretty much went through a downturn in our life and in our business. And it was really hard to get back up. And this was not like 400 years ago. This was like, just to be fully transparent, after I'd already made millions of dollars, after I already had the entire lifestyle, we pretty much went through something for a period of years where we basically lost everything. And it was hard for me to get back on the horse again, the entrepreneurial horse again. And in 2013 and 2014, for 2 years, I lived on borrowed money. And the person who loaned me the money was a friend of mine. And the reason I had a friend who would loan me enough money to live off of for 2 years is because he was that kind of friend to me because I had been that kind of friend to him. So you have to look for examples of how people have benefited from friendship, and then take that to the marketplace. And when the marketplace tells you that this is a good idea, run with it. But the one word of caution that I would give you is if the marketplace shows you that this is not going to be profitable for you, then I would go find a different, I'm not saying it will, because it could prove to be as profitable as the Dream 100. Last month at the Dream 100 conference in Tampa, Dana Derrick's event, he had 15 people there, he did $150,000 in sales. So your concept sounds the same, but only on the friend level, not the business level. So if you can figure out a way to make it profitable, hey, take it and run with it. Because I'm going to tell you, all of us need to be better friends, and all of us could sure use a lot more better friends, right? So, but y'all can clap for that. Okay, but if the marketplace tells you that they're unwilling to pay for it, it may be something they desire, but they're unwilling to pay for, then find something they're willing to pay for. One of the things that I believe in business is you've got to make sure that your business serves you at the highest level and gives you the ability to serve the people you care about in your market at the highest possible level. Thank you, KB. Give it up for KB.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. I think you were the last one in line when I made the announcement, were you not? Or no? Is it?
I don't know.
You don't know? I'll answer your question, ma'am. I just can't do it right now. I think you came up afterwards. So if we can hold that, I'm going to take this one as the last one for right now, and then we're going to come back. Okay, and we'll do more Q&A at the end, hopefully. And if not, I'm going to be at the baseball game tonight, so just come see me, y'all. Okay, what is your name, sir?
My name is Cal.
Hey, Cal.
And I own a print company, well established in Warren, Michigan.
Okay.
looking to scale my
Like
company.
print stuff on paper?
What's that?
You print stuff on paper?
Yes,
Okay.
on everything.
Okay.
I'd love to scale my company.
Okay.
And in such a competitive market, how do I create big ticket items without losing the job?
Yeah. Like when people are in really competitive spaces and they want to take their business to the next level and they want to be able to scale it, what I recommend that they do is I recommend that they either take their primary business and make it the front end of something bigger or make it the back end of something bigger. For instance, so you have a print company, so you probably print up a lot of marketing materials, and do you print shirts and hats
Yes.
and all that stuff too? Okay, so what I would do, instead of being a printing company, if I owned your business, I would become a business that teaches companies how to use incentives to grow their company. And I would charge them for the coaching on how to use incentives to grow their company, and then I would sell them the incentives. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like ClickFunnels buys more t-shirts than probably every other company in the world combined. Right? And that doesn't include the bottles and the t-shirts and the notebooks and all the other stuff. And I've got at least 17 ClickFunnels backpacks, right? So what you do, but ClickFunnels is not even in the business of creating those things. So if you think of it like this, that you can build a business that teaches anything you want that's high value and then make your printing company the back end of that thing. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
All right. All right, give it up. So, all right. So, I'm going to get back into content now. Okay? So, your content, I'm going to show you the next thing that you can do with this content. Okay? And how many of you have ever heard of the book Draw to Win? Right? Like two of you, really? Draw to Win. DrawTowin. Draw to Win. I know, like sometimes my accent like runs, and some of y'all think, well, what's the draw to win, right? So there's a concept that I use when I am teaching, and especially when I'm selling. It's a concept that I call the picture, the parable, and the principle. And it takes this content structure formula that I gave you with the 3 points. Point 1, point 2, point 3, and then, A, B, and C. And so subpoint. So I'm going to give you a couple of things. Even before I show you the picture, parable, principle, let me show you how I structure these points. So one of the reasons people like my content so much is because it's pre-digested. And so they don't have to work very hard to understand what I'm saying. I love what Rick Warren said in one of his books. He said, nothing becomes dynamic until it becomes clear. So my job when I'm creating content is to make what I'm saying crystal clear. I mean, I want it to be so clear that you might disagree with me, but at least you won't wonder what I was talking about. Does that make sense? So one of the ways that I do that is when I'm creating my outlines, in fact, I'm going to give you a couple of formulas. So if I'm going to be talking about something, the formula for coming up with a title for my content. If I'm writing a book, if I'm creating a YouTube video, Facebook Live video, an Insta Story video, the formula for the title is this. The title must be a clear word picture. So when I talk about a clear word picture, what that means is when I tell somebody the title, they automatically and instantaneously know what it's about. They don't have to do a whole lot of figuring, right? So I want to make sure that when I say the title, it's not, see, here's a big mistake a lot of people make with titles. They want to make them riddles. They want to take a title and make it a riddle. If you take a title and make it a riddle, you're making a person work to figure out what you're talking about, and they just don't like you that much. right? So don't make your title of anything, any content you create, never make your content title a riddle. Don't make your content title clever. You're not after cleverness, you're after clarity. Are y'all with me? And don't try to make your title catchy, whatever that means. Oh, I see, I need a catchy title. What is it? No, what you need is you need a title that when you say it, they automatically know what it's about. So it either draws them in and lets them know it's for them, or repels them and lets them know that it's not for them. Does that make sense, everyone? Yes? Yes. So that's the first part of the formula. I'm going to give you an example in a minute. Then, what's the thing you come up with after a title? What comes after the title? Subtitle. That's right, subtitle. When you are creating content, when you're creating content, you are wasting real estate by not having a subtitle. What is a subtitle? A subtitle is a powerful promise. So now, when they read the title, if it's a book, if it's the name of a video, if it's the name of a home study course, if it's the name of a course you're selling on a webinar, when they read the title, they know what the thing they're buying is about. When they read the subtitle, they know what the powerful promise is. What do I mean by that? So, for instance, my best-selling book, we sold over 140,000 copies. I used to be a trash man. That was the first job I got after I got married. So the name of my book is From the Trash Man to the Cash Man. When you read that title, do you instantly know what it's about? You know it's about a guy who used to be a trash man who somehow created some kind of money thing, right? Some kind of money result. So the title is From the Trash Man to the Cash Man. What's the subtitle? How anyone can get rich starting from anywhere. What's the purpose of that title? To let you know that if a trash man can do it and you're a secretary, certainly a secretary can do it. A trash man can do it and you're a teacher, certainly a teacher can do it. You're a trash man can do it, and you're a doctor, certainly a doctor can do it. So I've told them the title and I've told them the subtitle. And the title gives them a clear word picture. They know what it's about. The subtitle gives them a powerful promise. Now they know what they get out of reading it. Does that make sense? You do the same thing with your videos. You have a powerful title, clear word picture, and a powerful subtitle, a powerful promise. Does that make sense? Okay, now, here's where it gets really, really juicy good. I mean, not that ain't juicy good, because that's pretty juicy good now. In fact, I'm going to take a napkin out of my pocket and wipe some of that juice off my mouth. Okay, so, just kidding. So, I remember when I speak in a lot of churches around the world and have spoken in a lot of churches around the world, and some of my friends are really, really good speakers. One of the things I used to do, I used to like watch videos of preachers preaching on television, turn the sound down, just watch their gestures. I would recommend that you find speakers that you like, their content, and watch them speak and turn the sound down. If you want to like do like talks in public, and practice it for your Facebook Live videos and for your Insta Story videos and for your YouTube videos. But anyway, so I've got this friend. He's my favorite preacher like in the world, and he's a really, really good friend of mine. His name's Kenny Grant. He's a pastor down in Savannah, Georgia, and he's got this southern, Savannah, Georgia accent. And I would listen to him preach. I was like, dude. Like he would come up with some of the best sermon titles and the outlines, and then he'd deliver it. And you'd watch this guy preach a sermon, and he just looked like he was eating the best sandwich you have ever seen in your life. I mean, he was just having so much fun. And I said to him, Kenny, how do you do that? He said, oh, Myron, my mind just runs that way. And I'm not even exaggerating. I thought, he don't want to tell me. He don't want me to know how he does it. And then he said, oh man, all the people I read after they talk like that, so that's just how I talk, because that's how my mind runs. That's how my mind, you're the best preacher I've ever heard in my life, and I asked you how you do it, and that's the best answer you got? And I told him later that I thought he was trying to keep it from me. He thought that was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. Anyway, so he told me some of the people that he, as in his words, read after. Here's some of the people that I read after, right? And so, and he's funny, and he like delivers his, he's the only person I ever heard say, God made Adam, and when he got ready to make Eve, he put Adam to sleep, took a rib out, made the woman, and he kicked Adam and said, Adam, get up, son, get up. I got something for you. You know, he was that guy, right? And he's just so, like, he would act out what he was talking about. It was just so great. Anyway, so one of the people that he recommended was a guy named John. I won't tell you the guy's last name, but he was an old pastor guy who wrote books on all kinds of different books in the Bible and stuff. And so I was reading these guys' outlines, and I thought they were good. They were better than mine, right? And I had another friend, Vinny Sawyer, and Vinny was a pastor in New York. And Vinny was not dynamic. Vinny was not like animated. He was not bombastic. He was very calm. He would just kind of stand up and talk, but his content was like mind-blowing, right? And so I took the book that Kenny recommended and I showed it to Vinny. I said, hey, Vinny, what do you think about this guy? And Vinny says, that's all right. Now I'm really confused. All right, that's like, this is like John, this famous preacher dude who teaches all these people follow him. And he says, all right. I said, and so, like, that's not a good answer for me. Like, now I got to know why. Like, what's wrong with it? You know, it seemed like a good idea to me. He said, I just don't like outlines like that. Okay. What don't you like about it? I don't like one word outlines. Like the man, the method, and the message. He said, that's like, that's lame. He said, and I thought, wow. I said, how would you do it? He said, I believe, by the way, this is one of those change Myron's life moments. Vinny said, I believe that every point in an outline, every chapter in a book, every point, every subpoint should be a complete thought. I said, ooh, that's so good. Every point should be a complete thought. Wow, that's amazing. And so, what I did was I started making all of my points in my outlines be complete thoughts. And guess what? Not only did my content get better, it was easier for me to remember. Like, who knew there'd be a side benefit, right? And so, like, I started creating these outlines, and it was amazing. And I'm talking about, I'm talking about sermon outlines, but I'm not just talking about sermon outlines. I'm just talking about like outlines for anything that I was writing. Like when I made the whole thing a complete thought, it was like mind blowing. And I delivered people like, oh my goodness, I've never heard anything like this before. And I thought, wow, that's a game changer. Well, the other thing was one of the things that I learned a long time ago was I learned to use alliteration. Alliteration is when you make the words in your outline start with the same letter, right? But if you'll be diligent and like really focus on like alliteration is like a handle that makes it easier for the people that you're delivering your content to remember. Does that make sense? And alliteration can be how the outline begins, how the words begin or how the words end. So for instance, is it okay if I, all of my content, so y'all already know this, like everything that I teach is based on a biblical principle. So what I do, and this is, and what's really cool about that is almost nobody reads the Bible, right? No, I'm not. No, even people that go to church. I'm not trying to be funny. Like almost nobody reads the Bible, so almost nobody knows what it says. And so when people are figuring out what the Bible says, they only get what they hear from their preacher or their priest or their pastor or their rabbi. So they don't read the Bible. So they're like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. Where'd you hear that? It's in the Bible, right? And so, like, y'all remember me teaching on 4 levels of value? I got that from Genesis chapter 1. I just didn't show y'all the chapter and verse. I was like, that's amazing. First time I did that, Russell was like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. Can you teach that in Farmer Market Live? Sure. Right? And so, like, I have a whole coaching program. My second highest price coaching program is literally based on the business model of King Solomon. Seriously, like, it's a $153,000 program. I do discount it down some, but still a $153,000 program. And it's based on the business model of King Solomon. If you applied the principles that the richest man who ever lived applied, How could you be anything but rich? I don't know, just seems like it makes good sense to me, right? So I'm gonna show you, y'all want me to show you real quickly how I take a story or a passage in the Bible and turn it into like an outline that you can use to teach something? So this is really cool. Okay. By the way, so I'm not teaching you the Bible right now. I mean, that's where I'm getting it from. But I'm teaching you how to create content, right? And so tomorrow morning, by the way, some people asked me to do a Bible study, and so tomorrow morning, 7:30 in this room, I'm going to do a Bible study on how to make the rest of your life the best of your life, and it's going to be some really, it's going to be good. So tomorrow morning, I'm not going to be here Sunday. Tomorrow morning at 7:30, okay? Tomorrow morning at 7:30 in this room. So for those of you who want to join me, if you don't want to join me, it's all good. Okay, so for instance, like I'm in Proverbs right now, so I'll just find one in Proverbs. So like I love things that really have a lot of deep meaning. So in Proverbs, I'm just going to do this really quickly. I'm going to show you how I take these ideas and turn them into complete thoughts, and also alliterate them, but not just alliterate one word, alliterate every word, like alliterate the entire complete thought. And you alliterate like a bunch of complete thoughts. It's mind-blowing. Does that make sense? So here's what it says. There be 4 things which are little upon the earth, but they are exceeding wise. The ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. The conies are a feeble folk, yet they make their houses in the rocks. The locusts have no king, yet they go forth all of them by bands. The spider taketh hold with her hands and is in the king's palaces. So now that doesn't sound like it. That doesn't sound like a course or a program, does it? It just sounds like, so what's like, when you read that, maybe you don't, but the first time I read it, what's that got to do with anything, right? So I noticed that he said, there be 4 things which are little upon the earth, but they are exceeding wise. So these are something that's little, but they're really got a lot of big wisdom. So here's what I call this training, this lesson, if you will. How to be wise beyond your size. See, did y'all see that reaction? People, ooh. And all I had to do was think about it for a little while. He said there's 4 things that are little, but they're exceeding wise. In other words, their wisdom is bigger than they are. So how to be wise beyond your size. Now, what do I have to do? If I'm going to teach this, so one of the things that I think that'll really help you develop a lot of clarity is when you are teaching people a concept and you use a word, don't assume that they know the meaning of the word, assume that they don't know the meaning of the word. Even if it's a common word, like wise, because most people think wise means what? Smart or intelligence. But the word wise doesn't mean that, okay? I'll tell you what it means in a minute. So what I've got to do is I've got to define wise. But now, because I like to go in the rabbit hole. Y'all want to go in the rabbit hole with me? Here we go. So because I'm going to define the word wisdom, but there are some other words that need to be defined because most people think that wisdom is the same thing as understanding. And understanding is the same thing as knowledge, but God just used different words because he didn't want to sound redundant, right? But that's not how it works. So what I did, I said, how to be wise beyond your size. How many of you like to be wise? Say yes, because wisdom never travels alone. Wisdom also always carries side benefits, long life and riches and honor and nobility and authority and all. So being wise has all these secondary benefits, right? But wisdom has some prerequisites. What is a prerequisite? It's something that's required before you get the thing. So wisdom has 3 prerequisites. How many prerequisites? 3. The first prerequisite of wisdom is ignorance. So I can't just say that, right? What do I have to do? What do I do next? I define ignorance, right? Okay, so wisdom has some prerequisites. What's the first prerequisite? The first prerequisite is ignorance. What's ignorance? Ignorance is the absence of truth. So you see what I did there? I just defined it. Ignorance is the absence of truth. When I was born, I was ignorant. I didn't know my hand from my foot. I didn't know my right hand from my left hand. I didn't know my mom from my dad. I didn't know hot from cold. So I didn't know anything. When I was born, I was completely ignorant. I was a blank slate. It wasn't that I was a dummy. I was just ignorant. I didn't know anything yet. So ignorance is the absence of truth. What's ignorance, everybody? Yes. And what's absence of truth? Ignorance. So what I just did was I told you what it was, and then I asked you what it was, and then I let you tell me. Do you see what I just did? Okay, so now that's the first prerequisite. Second prerequisite of wisdom is knowledge. I don't just tell you that the second prerequisite is knowledge. What's the next thing I do? I define knowledge. What is knowledge? Knowledge is the accumulation of truth. See how it's alliterated? The absence of truth, the accumulation of truth. See how it's easy to remember? Okay, so now I started with ignorance. I went from ignorance to knowledge. Ignorance is the absence of truth. What's ignorance? Knowledge is the accumulation of truth. What's knowledge? Accumulation of truth. And then we get to understanding. What's the next one? Understanding. But I can't just say understanding, right? What do I have to do? I've got to define it. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm showing you the process that I go through to create my content. So I tell them what the thing is, and then I define the thing. So what's understanding? Understanding is the assimilation of truth. So ignorance is the absence of truth. Knowledge is the accumulation of truth. Understanding is the assimilation of truth. So when I'm accumulating truth, I'm collecting it, right? But when I'm assimilating truth, what am I doing? I'm comprehending it. So now what I'm doing is I'm using an alliteration to define my previous alliteration. You see how that stacks layers and it creates more clarity for people? And then, so now that we have the prerequisites, we can finally have wisdom. What's wisdom? Wisdom is the application of truth. And so because wisdom is the application of truth, now I can go into this big long rant about wisdom. See, people think that wisdom is a noun. They think that like wisdom, like wise isn't, they think it's a noun, but it's actually a verb. It's an action word. Wisdom is an action word. Let me replace the word wisdom with the modern day word. May I do that? Everybody say yes? Yes. The modern day word for wisdom would not be smart, it would not be intelligence, it would not be IQ, it would be skill. So wisdom is not something you know, wisdom is something you do. See how every time I say something about it, it gets clearer and it gets clearer and it gets clearer. This is how you create content that makes people go, oh. You follow me? And by the way, this is all introductory stuff. We haven't even gotten into how to be wise beyond your size yet. But before we could get into how to be wise beyond your size, the first thing we had to do is we had to define wisdom. But before we could define wisdom, we had to give the prerequisites. Before we could give the prerequisites, we had to define the prerequisites. You see what I'm doing? I'm creating more and more clarity. And the more I talk about it, the clearer it becomes. Now, then we go back to the passage. It says, there be four things which are little upon the earth. There are four little things that are exceeding wise. So the first one is the ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. I'm going to give you the abbreviated version of this because I could talk about this for a long time. The whole thing I could like go and like deep dive on just ants, but I'm not going to do that because we only have 20 more minutes. Okay, so the ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. So what do? I'm going to make point number one. All that other stuff was just introduction. I alliterated my introduction before I even get to the content. Now I'm getting to the content. Are y'all with me? Okay, here's the content. We can learn the wisdom of preparation. We can learn the wisdom of contemplation from the ant because they know how to prepare. We learn the wisdom. The ants are people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. In other words, the ant thinks negative when things are positive. The ant thinks about winter all summer. When things are going good, the ant's not saying, well, let's have a party. Things are going good. They're saying, winter's coming, winter's coming, winter's coming, winter's coming, winter's coming, winter's coming. So we learn the wisdom of contemplation from the ant because they know how to prepare. What's that mean? Like if an ant was a human, they'd have life insurance. See how powerful that is? If an ant had a refrigerator, they'd have an emergency fund. People say, I can't believe my car broke down. How old are you? Cars been breaking down since they was making them. Right? So what the ant does, they are very small, but they're wise enough to look down the road and prepare themselves for what hasn't happened yet. So we learn the wisdom of what? Contemplation from the ant because they know how to prepare. See how simple that is? It's a simple concept, but it makes people go, oh, I get it, so I need to prepare. Yes. Then it says the conies are a feeble folk, yet they make their houses in the rock. Now, what's a coney? A coney's a rock badger. They look like a little rabbit, but they don't have a big bushy tail, and their ears are not very long, right? So the conies are a feeble folk. They're a rock badger, yet they make their houses in the rocks. What does that tell us? We learn the wisdom of compensation from the coney because they know how to protect themselves with things that are stronger than they are. So we learn the wisdom of contemplation from the ant, they can prepare. We learn the wisdom of compensation from the coney, they can protect. What does that mean? That means in your business, you have to be wise enough to surround yourself with people who are strong in areas you are weak. See what I just did there? And all I had to do was meditate on some truth instead of just meditating on nothing. Meditate on some truth, and now I've got some content that can change somebody's life. You see what I'm doing? So the conies are a feeble folk, yet they make their houses in the rock. So all of us have weaknesses. What we have to do is we have to learn how to compensate with those weaknesses with things that are strong. See, ClickFunnels is a rock, right? So I'm not good at code. So what do? I get me a rock called ClickFunnels, and I run inside it, and I build me a funnel, and all of a sudden people start paying, right? So that's the second one. The third one is the locusts have no king, yet they go forth all of them by bands. What do we learn from the locusts? We learn from the locusts, we learn the wisdom of cooperation from the locusts because they all participate. You see how every point is alliterated? Not just the first word, every point is a complete sentence, and every word, like all the words in the outline are alliterated. Why am I doing that? To make it easy for the people I'm teaching to digest what I'm saying so they don't have to work so hard. Is this helpful? Yes. And then the last one was the hardest one. Like, I had to think about this for years. I am not exaggerating. Like, what in the world are you talking about? And he says, the spider taketh hold with her hands and is in the king's palaces. Well, what's so wise about that? That's my favorite one now. We learn the wisdom of capitalism from the spider because they know how to profit from what others have done. What's that mean? A spider can't build a palace, but a spider can live in one. And see, what you've got to learn how to do is you got to learn how to benefit from what other people have done. Would y'all like me to tell you how to exercise the wisdom of a spider? Say yes? Yes. Okay, I was having a conversation after 10X. Russell took a bunch of us who were there at the 10X conference. He took a bunch of us on a couple of yachts down to the Caribbean, down to the Bahamas. And we were masterminding, right? And so we're on the boats and we're masterminding. And I asked Russell a question. By the way, I'm about to give you a $100 million idea if you'll take it. I'm not saying I think it's $100 million. It's already proven itself to be a $100 million idea. I said, Russell, on the MRR, on ClickFunnels, when you guys get a client, what's the average percentage of net profit ClickFunnels makes after expenses? You know what he said? He said, I don't know, like 38 point something percent. And I said to Russell, why are you not using that in your ads? He said, using what? The fact that we make more money when we sell ClickFunnels than you make when you sell ClickFunnels and you started the company. He said, ooh, that's a good idea. And I said, you know what? I got a dude who's a friend of mine who started a $100 million company. It's $100 million. Did I tell y'all it's a $100 million company? If I didn't mention it, by the way, it's a $100 million company. I can't start ClickFunnels. It's already been done. But I can go out and promote ClickFunnels and make as much money from ClickFunnels as Russell Brunson does every time I sell one. And I don't have to hire the staff. I don't have to have the home office. I don't have none of that junk to go with it. Not junk, wonderful stuff to go with it. Right? You say, Myron, what's your point? My point is all of us should be focused, at least to some degree, on building our ClickFunnels affiliate commissions. Because when I sell ClickFunnels, I make more money off it than Russell Brunson. I don't know. That seemed like a good idea to me. Anyway, so we learn the wisdom of capitalism from the spider because they know how to profit from what others have done. I can't build a ClickFunnels, but I can get paid every 2 weeks off of it because somebody else built it. You can't create a 2 Club X, but you can benefit off the fact that you're here. See how powerful this is? So that's how I take a concept and I create an outline. And by the way, I've got gobs of outlines. Like I've got one called How to Have a Financial Turnaround. You must seek a turnaround. And then you submit to a teacher. And then you systemize your task. And all I'm saying is, you see how I'm not just saying a word, but I'm giving a complete thought, and the complete thought is also alliterated? What am I doing? I'm making it easier for the people that I'm talking to digest my content so that when they hear me talk, they're like, ooh, I never heard anything like that before. That's the reaction I was looking for. Does that make sense to everyone, yes? I've got one last thing that I have time to show you today, and the rest of it we'll pick up on a training in the future. And I'm going to ask either John or AC or somebody back there to bring me one of those protein bars out of my bag because I'm getting kind of loopy. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is the 3 P's of power. So this is how I create the content that goes in my points and my subpoints. Like, yeah, I showed you how I do, like, how I create the title of the points and subpoints, but how do I fill up that 90 minutes of content when I'm doing, or how do I fill up that 7 minutes of content when I'm doing a Facebook Live or an Insta story video, or I'm doing a YouTube video? Here's how. I use a concept. By the way, get yourself a whiteboard or a flip chart and a marker and get it at your house, and when you talk, draw stuff out for people. I mean, I like PowerPoint, and it's okay, but I like better a flip chart and marker because it doesn't give the people who are listening to you an opportunity to read ahead. Thanks, John. Appreciate it, bro. Thank you. Oh, he brought me the crunch too. That's what's up. Okay, so I use what I do when I'm creating content, like when I'm teaching to sell. One of the things you will see that I do over and over again is I use a picture, a parable, and a principle. This is how This is how I structure my content. And what I'll do is I'll come up here on the board and I'll draw something like earlier I drew a glass of apple juice, right? And I'll put some apple juice in there and then I'll put a fly in it. So I just draw a simple picture. So remember I asked you about how many of you have read the book Draw to Win? Okay, all of you deserve to, and your clients certainly deserve for you to go and order that book on Amazon today. Draw to Win. It's a guy who's it's like Russell recommended the book to a bunch of us in the inner circle, and the book is mind-blowing. And what happens is he teaches you how to use simple drawings to create presentations that compel people to take action. And this guy's built a multi-million-dollar consulting business showing people how to draw stickmen, right? So, and guess what he does? He uses the stickmen that he draws to make the sales instead of PowerPoint presentations. I'm not saying you shouldn't ever use PowerPoint presentations, but get good at drawing simple illustrations. And he gives you simple ways to learn how to draw these illustrations. Is that pretty cool? Okay, so a picture, a parable. What is a parable? A parable is a story. You tell them the story that goes with the picture. Now, here's what's really interesting about the parable. When you tell a story, you have to have what I call, your story has to have a heartbeat. What does that mean? That means, like, it takes their emotions up and then down. It makes them laugh, makes them cry. Makes them happy, makes them sad. Makes them invigorated, makes them mad. And by the time you get to the end of your story, they feel emotionally wrung out. Almost like the way you feel when you get off a roller coaster. You feel like, wow, that was crazy. And then what do? You run back and get in line again, right? So, for those of you who like roller coasters, this brother don't do roller coasters. Anyway, enjoy it. Y'all enjoy your thing, okay? So, but what happens, what I do is I create emotional experiences, up and down experiences for people so that they feel like, oh my goodness, that was amazing. Why? Because they've experienced so many emotions that by the time I'm done, they're like, oh, I don't want this to end. So what do? They buy my program. Does that make sense? Okay. So, and then I do the principle. What's the principle? The principle are the epigrams that I created. Can you show the PowerPoint up here? On these sticky notes that I put in and so what I'll do is I'll get a bunch of quotes that I've created and I'll use those quotes. Now let me tell you really quickly another way to use quotes. How many of you want to gain some instant authority in the marketplace on social media? Yes? Okay, so one of the things you can do is you can start anchoring yourself to famous people. It's so easy to do. And so, like, if I want people to think I'm really, really smart, y'all are probably gonna think, this dude, man, I'm glad he's not a bad person, right? So if I want people to think I'm really, really smart, what I'll do is I'll give an Einstein quote, and then I'll give a Myron Golden quote right after that. So what I'm doing is I'm anchoring myself to Albert Einstein. I'm not saying I'm Albert Einstein. I'm not saying I'm as smart as Albert Einstein. But what I'll do is I'll say, Einstein said, actually did it this morning. Y'all remember when I said, Einstein said, if I can't explain a concept to an intelligent 12-year-old, I don't understand it. But I did my quote first, then I did his quote. They're like, ooh, Myron's like a regular Einstein. Okay, so like if I'm teaching something financial, I'll say, how many of y'all would agree Einstein's a really smart person? Say yes? Okay, Einstein's a smart person. Einstein said that compound interest is the most powerful force in the universe. What did I do after I said that? I paused. Why? I wanted to sink in. I wanted to sink in. Why? What am I doing? I'm giving you time to think of powerful forces in the universe. And then I'm going to say, Myron Golden says, any financial principle you don't understand and you're not using, someone's using it against you. Who'd like to know what that means? Say yes. That means if you don't understand how compound interest works, then there's somebody out there using the most powerful financial force in the universe against you. No wonder most people are broke. See what I just did? And I anchored myself to Einstein. Einstein quote, Myron Golden quote, tied them together, told you what it meant, and now all of a sudden, you think, I don't know, either Einstein's as smart as Myron or Myron's as smart as Einstein, but those two smart brothers. Right? So I use the picture, the parable, and the principle, and that's how I help people see more clearly the concepts that I am presenting to them. So what I'm going to do now is I've got 8 minutes for those people who had a couple of questions. By the way, they told me I'm done at 5:40. I'm going to shut it down at 5:40. Now, if y'all in line, I love you, but we done. So if you got a question, don't let grass grow under your feet, as my dad would say. Get in line and ask your question. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rob. Yes, sir.
What's going on, Myron? Travis Davis, Washington,
What's up?
DC.
What's up, Brother Travis?
I've been studying your Bible principles lately, and I read that they had a table in the temple.
Okay.
And they exchanged money for something that they didn't have. And I've been incorporating that in my business, and I started lending money so I could get interest in return of something that I didn't have, as well as electricity. I noticed Pepco and BGE been making a lot of money off electricity. Once again, something that they didn't own and that they didn't have. But I'm also feeling a little guilty about it too.
Okay. So a couple things. One, I think you're referring to the story in the Bible about the money changers and Jesus coming in and turning over the tables and all that? Okay. So the problem with that, people don't understand the context of that story. The context of the story was this, that people who lived in Jerusalem, they could bring their animals easily to the temple to be sacrificed. People who came from all over the country, I mean, Israel's a country, it's not just a town, right? Jerusalem is a city where the Temple Mount was, temples in the Temple Mount. They'd go there to offer the sacrifices. People who came from far away, they'd either have to bring their animals from far away or sell their animals for money, and when they get to Jerusalem, buy some animals to sacrifice, right? Because the people who lived in Jerusalem knew that the people had to do the offering, they would raise the prices and take advantage of the people who came to the temple. That's why Jesus turned over the money tables, not just because they were selling something, but because they were taking advantage of people who were coming from a long distance. I don't know if that was the question you asked me or not.
Well, it's kind of the business that I'm using, like, so I notice in electricity, like, honestly, in my mind, they're using us. Like, they're getting the energy from the sun.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say about that. Like, there are so many people out there that want to take advantage of us in so many ways. And yes, I could put my energy into fixing that, or I could put my energy into creating enough wealth so that the people taking advantage of me can't take advantage of me as fast as I can create wealth. That's where I would focus my energies. Is that helpful?
That's what I need.
Thank you, Travis. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Myron. I'm Carrie. I'm from Washington State.
Hey, Carrie. I love Washington State.
You're from Washington State?
No, I said I love Washington State.
Oh, you love Washington State. Me too. First of all, your poem was so beautiful, it made me cry. So you're very gifted.
Thank you.
I'm an artist, and I love what I do, but I've tapped out my abilities to create art, and I can't scale. And I have a real passion because I have been very successful in my career. I have a real passion for helping other artists succeed. And most of them have no clue how to market, how to promote themselves, and how to reach an audience, or even how to identify what they do as an artist, and then how to put their work in front of people. So I have ideas, and I've gotten some incredible feedback from people here as to how to help them.
Okay.
But the whole high ticket teaching that I've received this weekend has been very enlightening. But I'm a bit stumped because there are so many artists that struggle financially. And I want to serve them on the highest level. I want to expand their mind, and I want to help take them to a level of success that they are not even aware of yet. But how can I position a high ticket offer to that demographic?
Well, a couple things. May I quote Jim Rohn? Jim Rohn said, "You can help 1,000, but you can't carry 3 on your back." One of the things all of us have to realize is when we desire life change for someone more than they desire it for themselves, again, all we're going to do is frustrate ourselves and irritate them, or irritate ourselves and frustrate them. Like, I can't save people from themselves. I can present an opportunity. If they see it, they can be it. If they can't see it, they can't be it. A lot of people make up stories, though, about their audience. This person's broke, they don't have any money, this group doesn't have any money. Like, if I'm gonna make up a story, by the way, anything I tell myself about a future outcome, I made it up anyway. Y'all know that, right? Right, if I'm telling myself, well, I'm gonna go do this event and 1,000 people are gonna show up, I made that up. I'm gonna go do this event, nobody's gonna show up, I made that up. If I'm gonna make up stories about the future, I might as well make up stories that serve me. Does that make sense?
Right.
So when I'm in a room selling, instead of assuming that the people in the room are broke, I always assume that the people in the room have money. I'm making up either one of those. And if I can show somebody enough value, they'll buy it. Now, if you're asking me, how do I sell high ticket art? Raise your prices so high and get to the place where you don't care if you don't sell any for the next 3 months, but let everybody know you have the high prices. People associate high price with the best. That's why the courses that I sell and the programs that I sell, I don't know anybody even remotely close who's selling the same similar things for even remotely close to what I sell it for. Because I know that when you got to have a heart surgery, you ain't looking for the heart surgeon that has a $762 heart surgery. You ain't looking for that dude. And if he finds you, you're going to say, no, you ain't the one I want. You see what I'm saying? So you have to create the standard and understand that there are people out there who buy expensive art. So if you want to sell art, sell it to high ticket people, like sell it to wealthy people. Those of us who have created some wealth in our lives, we buy expensive things because they're expensive. Like, we don't buy cheap things because they're cheap. Like, I don't go to Walmart because it's Walmart. Like, I don't really even like driving past Walmart. Why? Because if I go in there, they're going to waste my time. And my time is, the time that they are going to waste is more valuable to me than the money they're going to save me. So put your offer out there. If nobody buys it, you need to either change your offer or change your market. That's what I would recommend.
Great. Thank you.
Or change your message.
Change the message.
Okay?
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
All right. Give it up for Lauren, y'all. Yes, sir. I think you're going to be the last one because we got 1 minute left, or 40 seconds.
Let's go fast. I'm Chris Williams from Memphis.
Hey, Chris.
I have a medical practice consulting firm. Used to work 14-hour days, then I read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week.
Okay.
Now I work less than 30 minutes a day, and it tripled my income.
That's what I'm talking about.
I love it. So came to Funnel Hacking Live and figured out, I should teach people how I'm doing this, because everybody reads that book, but nobody does it.
Absolutely.
So I'm kind of figuring out the ascension I'm taking people through. What are the steps and how to price that through the training process? Little courses? Is it mastermind groups? Is it taking them on vacations?
Great question. So the way I start, the place I start, and I've got a client who does something similar. So if you want to see me like at the game tonight or something, maybe I'll be able to give you more insight, but I'm out of time. So here's what I'm going to say. I like to ask, the first question I ask when I'm going into a market is, how much money do I want to make? And then some of you may say, oh, I can't believe that. That's so greedy. I'm going to let you get over that without my help right now. But the first question I ask myself is, how much money do I want to make? And then after I figure out how much money I want to make, that's how I determine how much I'm going to charge. And then when I'm deciding how much I'm going to put in the program, I'm going to put in as little as possible, but that will allow me to help them get the result they are seeking as fast as possible.
Got it.
Is that helpful?